Most men walk through life believing that strength lies in silence, that not complaining, not checking, and not worrying is a kind of bravery. But what if that silence is actually costing them their health? It's a quiet kind of danger, the kind that whispers instead of shouts. The body often speaks in subtle cues, gentle nudges that something isn't right. But because those signs don't stop us from working, eating, or living, we wave them off. And in doing so, we set the stage for issues that could have been addressed early, naturally, and effectively. Take, for example, a persistent fatigue that doesn't go away even after a weekend of rest. It's easy to blame work stress or poor sleep. But did you know that unexplained fatigue can be an early indicator of hormonal imbalance or a vitamin deficiency that, left unchecked, can spiral into much more serious conditions? Or that occasional acid reflux after a heavy meal could be more than a digestive hiccup. It might be the first sign of chronic inflammation in the gut. Most people don't realize this, but the body rarely gets loud until it has to. And by the time the signs become undeniable, we're often facing something more complex to treat. That's why learning to recognize the soft murmurs of your body is not just important, it's essential. Because health, unlike crisis, doesn't announce itself. Let me be clear. This isn't about fear, it's about awareness. There's a big difference. Knowing what to look for gives you power. It gives you choice. And that's what we're going to do together here. Learn to see what others miss. And here's a small promise. If you stay with me until the end, I'll share a natural, lesser-known way to boost your overall health and resilience. Something simple, but profoundly effective, especially for men over 35. It's not a magic bullet, but it's something that's been overlooked for far too long. Just one condition. It only works if you know how to use it correctly. So stick around for that. Now, let's talk about consequences. Ignoring subtle symptoms doesn't just delay treatment. It can alter the trajectory of your life. Fatigue, gut issues, skin changes, headaches, these might seem like standalone problems, but they often connect in surprising ways. They can be early indicators of conditions like metabolic syndrome, insulin resistance, or chronic inflammation. These are not rare issues anymore. They're increasingly common in modern lifestyles, particularly in men who juggle long hours, fast food, and high stress. Here's where it gets more interesting. Science has shown that some of the earliest warning signs of major diseases can appear months or even years before diagnosis. Slight changes in mood, subtle shifts in digestion, and barely noticeable skin texture variations can all be early indicators. If identified early, many of these issues are not only manageable, but in some cases reversible through natural interventions, like specific foods, herbal combinations, and changes in routine. This is where knowledge becomes your greatest ally. And no, this isn't about quitting your job or living like a monk. It's about small, intentional shifts that respect your body's design. Think of it like fine-tuning a machine. The sooner you calibrate it, the smoother it runs. The more you ignore the rattles and vibrations, the more costly the repairs later on. A quick note of caution. As we move through each insight, it's important to understand that natural solutions are powerful, but only when used correctly. Overdoing or underpreparing certain ingredients can reduce their effectiveness or, worse, create new problems. That's why I'll always highlight the correct methods for preparation and use. This is your health we're talking about, and when it comes to natural methods, precision is key. So, if you've been feeling something off, anything, even if it feels insignificant, this is your invitation to listen. Not with panic, but with curiosity. The body is always talking. Most men just haven't been taught how to listen. We're going to change that. And trust me, the next insight could be one of the most crucial of all. Ignoring it won't just slow your results, it might actually undo progress and lead to more complex issues down the line. One of the most overlooked, and ironically most visible, places where your body sends warning signs is your face. Yes, your face. Those subtle changes in your skin tone, the slight puffiness under your eyes, or the unexpected dryness around your lips. These aren't just cosmetic issues. They might be your body's early distress signals. Let's start with something as seemingly minor as a yellowish tint around the eyes. It's easy to write it off as fatigue or a poor night's sleep. But under the surface, this slight discoloration can hint at issues in the liver, an organ that silently manages over 500 vital functions, including detoxification and hormone regulation. When the liver becomes burdened by processed foods, alcohol, or even chronic stress, its effects can show up in the sclera of the eyes or through changes in the texture of your skin. Then there's facial puffiness, especially in the morning. If you find yourself waking up with a swollen appearance, particularly around the eyes or jawline, that could suggest lymphatic congestion or fluid retention. And while it may not sound serious, it's often the body's way of saying that waste isn't being efficiently removed, something that can be improved with better hydration, reduced sodium intake, and regular movement like brisk walks or stretching. Dry, flaky skin, especially around the eyebrows or nose, might not just be a skincare issue. It could be linked to internal dehydration, thyroid imbalance, or nutritional deficiencies. In particular, a lack of omega-3 fatty acids and certain B vitamins has been associated with persistent facial dryness. These are common deficiencies in diets heavy in processed foods and low in leafy greens and healthy fats, foods many American men consume far too infrequently. Another often dismissed sign? Cracks at the corners of the mouth. This can point to a deficiency in iron or zinc, and occasionally a fungal imbalance in the gut. The skin is an incredibly responsive organ, and what happens inside your body tends to show up there first. But if you're only using external products without addressing the root cause, you're just covering up the message rather than understanding it. And here's the twist most men don't see coming. These seemingly superficial signs are often connected to deeper, systemic issues. For example, research has linked facial redness or broken capillaries to insulin resistance, a precursor to type 2 diabetes. The redness isn't random. It's the body trying to tell you something's out of balance. The good news? Most of these symptoms are reversible. Adjusting your diet to include more anti-inflammatory foods like leafy greens, wild-caught fish, avocado, turmeric, and berries can significantly reduce facial inflammation. And don't underestimate the power of hydration. Not just water, but also hydrating foods like cucumber, celery, and citrus fruits. Sleep matters too. Interrupted or poor quality sleep can impact your cortisol levels, which in turn affects your skin's appearance and your body's ability to repair overnight. If you're waking up looking more tired than when you went to bed, it's a cue to reevaluate your nighttime habits. Start seeing your face as a dashboard, a daily report of how your internal systems are doing. Once you learn the cues, you can respond early and effectively, using natural methods that support your body instead of overwhelming it. And remember, not all changes require medication or drastic interventions. Many times, your body simply needs better inputs, cleaner fuel, more rest, and fewer inflammatory triggers. As we move into the next crucial area, don't let the simplicity of the next symptom fool you. Ignoring it could not only stall your progress, but also quietly set you up for a cascade of preventable health problems if left unchecked. There's a part of your body that holds more influence over your overall health than most people realize, and yet, it rarely gets the attention it deserves. It's your gut. Not exactly glamorous, and definitely not something most men talk about over coffee. But this quiet system, winding through your abdomen, is a powerhouse of communication, immunity, and even emotional stability. Let me start with a question. How often do you experience gas, bloating, or irregular bowel movements? Once a week? A few times a month? Maybe more often than you'd like to admit? Most guys shrug it off as something they ate, or just part of getting older. But what if these signs weren't just about digestion? What if they were your gut's way of signaling a much deeper imbalance? Here's what many don't realize. The gut isn't just responsible for breaking down food. It's also the home of your microbiome, a massive ecosystem of bacteria that affects everything from energy levels and nutrient absorption to mood and inflammation. When this system is disrupted, the effects ripple throughout your body. That bloating? It could be the result of bacterial imbalance. The irregularity in the bathroom? A sign your gut lining might be compromised. And if you frequently feel off after meals, mentally or physically, there's a good chance your digestive system is struggling to keep up. Now, let's look at something truly surprising. Nearly 90% of the body's serotonin, a neurotransmitter that affects mood, is produced in the gut. That means your digestion doesn't just influence your stomach, it's deeply tied to your mental health. Chronic constipation or diarrhea, when persistent, can point to imbalances that affect your entire nervous system. Men dealing with anxiety, brain fog, or low motivation often don't realize that their gut health might be playing a silent, foundational role. Even immune response starts here. Over 70% of your immune system is linked to your gastrointestinal tract. When your gut flora is out of balance due to poor diet, chronic stress, or frequent use of antibiotics, it weakens your natural defense against viruses, inflammation, and chronic illness. That's susceptibility to frequent colds or a lingering fatigue after minor infections. It's likely not just bad luck, it could be microbial dysfunction in the gut. So, how do you start fixing it? First, take a closer look at what you eat. Processed foods, sugary drinks, and artificial additives are the fastest way to throw your microbiome off balance. Instead, begin incorporating more fermented foods like kefir, sauerkraut, and plain Greek yogurt. Add high-fiber plants like asparagus, lentils, and leafy greens. And make hydration a priority. Not just with water, but with mineral-rich broths and herbal teas that help nourish the gut lining. There's also immense value in slowing down. Chew more. Eat mindfully. Let your body digest at its own pace instead of rushing through meals. Overeating and stress while eating are major triggers for indigestion and microbial imbalance. And if you've been skipping meals or living off protein bars and energy drinks, this is your wake-up call to return to real, whole foods. And here's something that might surprise you. Certain common medications, including antacids and NSAIDs, can quietly disrupt the gut barrier when overused. That means something you took to fix a headache or soothe your stomach might actually make your digestive system more vulnerable in the long run. Knowing when and how to use these tools wisely makes all the difference. The key takeaway? If your gut is underperforming, your entire body pays the price. But if you nourish it, listen to its cues, and give it what it needs, your energy improves, your skin clears, your mind sharpens, and your natural defenses get stronger. So next time your stomach feels off, don't just dismiss it. It might be the most honest voice your body has. And once you learn to respond to it with care and consistency, the results can be transformational. Not just for your digestion, but for your life. Now, here's where things start to connect in ways most people overlook. The symptom we're about to talk about is one of the most underestimated and misunderstood signals of internal imbalance. Ignoring it doesn't just slow your health progress. It can create a domino effect of issues that ripple through your entire body, silently undermining the work you're doing to feel better. You might think fatigue is just a part of being an adult, especially for men juggling demanding jobs, family responsibilities, and a never-ending to-do list. But persistent fatigue, the kind that lingers even after a full night's sleep or sneaks up on you midday, isn't just about being busy. It's a warning. One that too many men brush off until their bodies are already waving red flags. Here's the truth. Your energy levels are one of the most honest indicators of internal balance. When you wake up already tired or feel your strength fading by lunchtime, it often means something deeper is going on beneath the surface. And more often than not, it has very little to do with how much sleep you got. Chronic fatigue can be a sign of nutritional deficiencies, especially in key players like magnesium, B12, and vitamin D, nutrients that are foundational for converting food into usable energy. These aren't rare deficiencies either. They're surprisingly common in diets high in processed foods and low in real, nutrient-rich ingredients. But there's more. Your thyroid plays a major role in regulating energy, and subtle shifts in its function can lead to exhaustion, weight fluctuations, and even mental fog. If your body feels sluggish, your metabolism is crawling, and your motivation is dwindling, it could be that your thyroid is struggling to keep up. And many men never get this checked because they assume thyroid problems only affect women. That assumption can cost years of missed opportunity for correction. Another hidden energy thief? Blood sugar imbalances. If you find yourself needing a second coffee by 10 a.m. or craving sugar in the afternoon just to stay alert, there's a good chance your glucose levels are spiking and crashing. This roller coaster leads to more than mood swings. It sets the stage for insulin resistance, one of the silent early indicators of metabolic syndrome. And once your metabolism starts to falter, it becomes harder to burn fat, build muscle, and maintain focus. Even your testosterone levels, yes, that hormone everyone associates with masculinity, can quietly decline and drag your energy with it. You may not notice right away, but subtle changes in motivation, mood, and endurance are all connected. The modern lifestyle, filled with poor sleep, processed food, and prolonged sitting, doesn't exactly do your hormones any favors. The good news is that these sources of fatigue aren't irreversible, but they do require you to stop brushing it off as normal. Start with small, powerful changes. Swap your sugary breakfast for protein and healthy fats like eggs and avocado. Add short bursts of movement throughout the day to reawaken your body. Think 5-minute walks, stretch breaks, or light bodyweight exercises. And look at your screen habits. Blue light late at night disrupts your circadian rhythm, even if you think you're falling asleep fine. Don't forget hydration. Even slight dehydration affects energy metabolism. Try starting your day with a tall glass of water and adding a pinch of natural sea salt to replenish minerals lost overnight. It's a simple shift, but for many men, it's a game changer. And if you're still feeling drained, consider getting your vitamin and hormone levels tested. You'd be surprised how often a simple deficiency goes unnoticed for years, holding you back not just physically, but mentally and emotionally as well. Fatigue isn't laziness, it's feedback. And your body is giving you that message for a reason. The faster you respond, the faster you regain clarity, drive, and vitality. But here's something you need to know. The next symptom we're going to look at doesn't just affect how you feel. It directly influences how your body ages, how resilient it is to stress, and how well it recovers from everyday strain. Ignoring it can quietly unravel the progress you've made, leading to deeper imbalances that are much harder to reverse. Sometimes the body doesn't speak through a single loud symptom, but through a collection of quiet ones. You might notice your joints feel stiffer than usual, your hairline is thinning, and your sex drive isn't what it used to be. None of these changes are dramatic enough to stop you in your tracks, but together they form a pattern, one that's often ignored until it becomes impossible to overlook. That pattern is what health professionals sometimes call a functional decline, and it doesn't start with disease. It starts with imbalances, small ones. Over time, they layer on top of each other and create a system-wide weakening that touches everything: your metabolism, your immune function, your ability to recover, and your mental clarity. The problem? Most men treat each of these signs in isolation, never realizing they're interconnected. Take joint pain, for example. Maybe your knees creak after a jog, or your shoulders ache after lifting something heavy. It's easy to blame aging or past injuries, but consistent inflammation in the joints often points to deeper issues, like gut imbalance, poor detoxification, or chronic low-grade inflammation fueled by processed foods. When you suppress that inflammation with painkillers but don't address the source, you're only postponing the inevitable. Then there's hair thinning. While genetics play a role, other factors, like thyroid dysfunction, stress-induced hormonal shifts, or poor circulation, can accelerate the process. If your hairline is receding faster than expected, it might not be just a matter of fate. It might be your body signaling a hormonal shift that, if caught early, could be managed naturally. Sexual health changes are another sensitive but powerful indicator. Decreased libido, weaker erections, or less motivation in general can signal declining testosterone, rising stress hormones, or even undetected nutrient deficiencies. These issues don't start overnight. They're the result of slow, subtle shifts that eventually affect your entire sense of vitality. But perhaps the most overlooked aspect of this entire conversation is that these seemingly separate symptoms often originate from one central imbalance: inflammation. Chronic systemic inflammation doesn't always come with pain or swelling. Sometimes it shows up as fatigue, or foggy thinking, or feeling like your body just isn't working quite right anymore. This is why approaching health from a systemic view, rather than symptom by symptom, is so important. When you realize that better sleep improves hormone balance, or that gut healing reduces joint pain, You stop chasing treatments and start creating lasting change. You begin to connect the dots. And that's when real transformation happens. So what can you do? Start by cleaning up your inputs. Eliminate ultra-processed foods as much as possible. Replace sugary snacks with whole options like berries, almonds, and boiled eggs. Eat meals that support your hormones and reduce inflammation. Foods rich in omega-3s, antioxidants, and healthy fats. Prioritize consistent sleep and reduce your exposure to blue light and noise at night. Don't forget movement. Regular, moderate-intensity exercise, even just brisk walking, supports circulation, hormone balance, and inflammation control. Add in breathing exercises or cold exposure for an added boost to your nervous system's adaptability. And perhaps most importantly, be honest with yourself. Don't ignore patterns just because they're quiet. Your body isn't trying to inconvenience you. It's trying to communicate. And if you listen with curiosity instead of fear, you'll discover just how much power you have to reverse the trend. Now, everything we've explored so far leads us to one final and often misunderstood piece of the puzzle. What you're about to learn could be the key to not only unlocking better health, but sustaining it long-term. If overlooked, though, it can quietly undo the efforts you've made so far and leave your system vulnerable in ways most people never see coming. Every journey has a turning point, a moment where all the scattered signs begin to align and the real story becomes clear. When it comes to health, that turning point often revolves around inflammation. Not the kind that swells a twisted ankle, but a quiet, chronic form that simmers beneath the surface. This type of inflammation is subtle, steady, and deeply destructive over time. What makes it so dangerous is exactly that. It's silent. You don't feel it the way you feel pain from a bruise. Instead, it weaves its way through your systems, slowly interrupting hormonal communication, digestive efficiency, cognitive clarity, and cellular repair. And unless you know what to look for, you might never know it's there until it's already done damage. This is where preparation becomes everything. Because one of the most powerful tools against silent inflammation isn't a pill or an expensive supplement. It's knowledge combined with the right natural inputs. What you eat, how you move, and the way you prepare certain healing foods makes all the difference. Let's talk about one such tool that's been hiding in plain sight. A natural anti-inflammatory infusion that, when prepared correctly, can help your body interrupt the cycle of chronic inflammation and begin to restore balance. But it has to be done the right way. Otherwise, you lose the potency that makes it work in the first place. Start with fresh ginger and turmeric roots, two of the most studied anti-inflammatory ingredients in natural medicine. Chop them finely, add a pinch of black pepper to enhance absorption, and infuse them in hot, not boiling water for at least 10 minutes. You can add a slice of lemon and a dash of raw honey for taste. But the real magic is in that trio: ginger, turmeric, and pepper. Why does this matter? Because these compounds work at a cellular level to reduce oxidative stress, support healthy circulation, and improve liver function. But when you boil the roots directly or skip the pepper, the bioavailability drops significantly, making the infusion far less effective. Details matter. This isn't a miracle cure, it's a support system. It doesn't replace a healthy lifestyle, but it enhances the work your body is already doing when you fuel it right, rest well, and stay active. And the impact is cumulative. One cup won't change everything, but making this a consistent habit, paired with the other strategies you've learned here, can build real, lasting resilience. Let's not forget why this matters. When you catch symptoms early, subtle fatigue, minor bloating, skin changes, or even a dull sense that something's off, and respond with care and attention, you change the outcome. You stop the domino effect before it begins. You take ownership. You don't have to wait for a diagnosis to start healing. You don't need a wake-up call in the form of a health crisis. You just need the willingness to pay attention, ask the right questions, and make adjustments before things spiral. That's what prevention is. It's the choice to act with intention instead of reacting under pressure. So let this be your moment. The moment where scattered symptoms turn into a clear message, where you shift from ignoring signs to understanding them, and from understanding to action. Because the greatest transformations often begin not with a breakthrough, but with a quiet decision to listen. If this series of insights helped you see your health in a new light, don't keep it to yourself. Share this knowledge. Help someone else recognize the signs they've been ignoring. And if you found value here, I invite you to support this channel. Like, subscribe, or leave a comment. Your engagement helps us reach more people who might need this message just as much as you did. Your health is your responsibility, but it's also your greatest opportunity. So take the next step. Stay curious, stay informed, and above all, stay connected to the signals your body is always trying to send.